Human relationships and interactions with horses have varied throughout history, depending on human needs. Some people appear to sacrifice a great deal in order to have a horse. Few horses have achieved such fame that they'll never be forgotten. What makes a horse famous? Well, it can be anything, from racing fame, Hollywood notoriety, or recognition as a war hero. However, some horses, for a number of reasons, will never be forgotten. Let's mention the most famous horse in history, called Bucephalus. The famous horse owned by Alexander the Great was tamed by young Alexander when nobody else could break him in. He was known for his courage and stamina. Riding in many battles, fearless, Bucephalus was Alexander the Great's horse and is considered by some to be the most famous horse in history. Alexander and Bucephalus's initial meeting was unique, but demonstrated true character of one of the best generals in history. It all started when a horse dealer offered the horse to Alexander's father, Philip II of Macedonia, for the large sum of 13 talents. The horse proved to be too vicious and unmanageable, and wouldn't allow anyone to mount him. Alexander, just a boy at the time, undertook the challenge to tame the horse, much to the amusement of the older men around him. Alexander, however, had noticed that the horse was scared of its shadow, and gently turned its head towards the sun, and was ready to mount him and fasten the bridle. Philip II was so impressed that he declared that Alexander would secure for himself an outsized kingdom, as Macedonia was too small for him. Bucephalus was Alexander's horse, and one of the most famous horses in world history. He was described as being black, with a large white star on his forehead. The horse's name may be a combination of the Greek word bus, meaning ox, and kephalos, meaning head. He would accept no other rider, and Alexander rode him into battle and launched assaults astride him from Greece to as far afield as India. When Bucephalus grew older, Alexander began to rest him more and eventually replaced him, notably at the Battle of Gaugamela. Here, the barbarians unexpectedly met up with those who were leading Bucephalus and took them prisoner, and carried the horse away with them. At which point, Alexander was so vexed that he sent a herald to let them know that he would put all of them to the sword, men, women, and children, without mercy, if they didn't give the horse back. But when they did so, and at the same time surrendered their cities into his hands, he not only treated them kindly, but also paid a ransom for his horse to those that took him. Tragically, Bucephalus's life would end in 326 BC. It is the month of July, and the scenario is the Battle of Hydaspes in modern-day Pakistan, where Alexander is facing Porus, an Indian king. For the first time, the Macedonian army, although it had already encountered them, was confronted with an actual, violent charge of 200 war elephants, which destroyed its infantry. Despite heavy losses, Alexander managed to secure the victory, but his horse, Bucephalus, was gravely wounded and departed this life shortly after the battle in 326 BC, at the age of 30. After 20 years of their relationship, the story of this legendary duo ends. Alexander the Great paid homage to him by founding a city on the banks of Hydaspes, now the Jhelum River, at the place where he crossed the river and where his loyal steed was laid to rest. The city was named Bucephala in its honor. Soon after that, Alexander the Great returned to Babylon, where he would die just 2 years later in unpleasant circumstances. What do you think about this relationship? Let us know in the comments below.